Hancock, and I'm coming to you here from our classroom. And let me make sure real quick that I am recording. I am, so I'm going to keep going. The power of yet is where we're going to start today. And we've been talking about the power of yet all week. And of course, the power of yet is having a growth mindset instead of a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset is where you're like, I can't do this and I'm not even going to try. Or I'm already good and I don't need to get any better. That's a fixed mindset. A growth mindset is when you say, I could always get better. I could always grow. And that's the way that we really need to be, because we're all a work in progress. We're all trying to get better at different things. And that's where the power of yet comes in. You could say, I don't get it, but add yet at the end. I can't do this yet. This doesn't work yet. That means that you're giving your best effort to become better at it. You haven't just decided that's it and I'm, moving on to the next thing. You're giving your best effort to be better. Like, I'm not a good pitcher yet. I'm not good at backflips and gymnastics yet. I'm not good at finding text evidence yet. All of this could be fixed if you keep giving your best effort to get better, practicing, working at it, put in that work. That is the power of yet. So when you have the power of yet, you're optimism, meaning that you have hope that you can get better. You have perseverance, meaning that you keep trying, you don't give up. And you have the growth mindset, knowing that if you work hard, you will get better. Just because you can't do it now doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means you can't do it yet. Now tomorrow, we're going to have another Flipgrid Friday where I'm going to post a question about the power of yet to you. And it will probably be if you feel like you've gotten better this week at virtual online learning. Maybe at the beginning of the week, it was hard to figure out where your assignments were and where you were supposed to go. And I want to know about how you feel now. And if you have the power of yet, that you can get even better at learning online, or what you could do to, get better at learning online in your classes. So you can be thinking about that. But right now, what we're going to do is we're going to go on to our slides today to talk about text evidence. I heart text evidence. So let's go. Let me hit the present button. Okay, in previous examples, the answers were stated directly in the text. Like, you could put your finger on the text evidence in the text, or on the computer screen on your text evidence. And this week we've been color coding our text evidence, and we're going to keep doing that because I am all about some underlining, all about it. And if we were at school right now, I would be making sure that you had that evidence underlined. And when we come back to school, I am going to make sure you have that evidence underlined. So let's get in the habit now, and it'll make coming back to school so much easier. But additionally, we have been talking about answers that were right there in the text. Today, we're going to start talking about some answers that you have to infer. Sometimes, however, the answer is not clearly stated. When this happens, the author is expecting you to infer the answer using text evidence. So that's making an inference, or inferring means that you make a guess based on what you see in the text and what you know in your brain about that situation. That's called your schema. I love that word, schema. But that's all the things that have happened to you or in your brain that you can use to think about how a character feels in a story, or to help you reason out something that you read. So you use the text plus your schema to make an inference, okay? Let's look at some passage where the answer is not directly stated in the text. And I'm going to actually skip a few of our slides right here, and I'm going to come back to them tomorrow. Let's go to this passage first. Now, when you have a passage, all right, so let's look at this passage. It says, "How profitable was your lemonade stand today?" asked Dad. Alexa glanced at her brother. "It could have been better." "Why do you say that?" asked Dad. "Well, we made 2 pitchers of lemonade at noon, and we sold it all within 30 minutes, Brian explained. We were super excited and wanted to sell more. So we hopped on our bikes and went on to the store to buy more lemonade mix and cups for our profit. We raced home, mixed up more lemonade, and set up our stand again. But then some big gray clouds rolled in and it got really windy. Nobody stopped at our stand after that to buy any lemonade, Alexa said. That explains the 2 full pitchers of lemonade in our refrigerator and the 5 unopened lemonade packages on our counter, Dad commented. It sounds like you learned a valuable lesson about supply and demand. What do you mean? Asked Alexa. I know when the demand for lemonade was high around noon, we didn't have enough supply. After the storm clouds came through, the demand for lemonade was low. Then we had too much supply, explained Brian. Exactly, said Dad. Successful business owners must balance their supply and demand with accuracy. Of course, demand is how much people want to buy your product, and supply is how much you have to sell of it, okay? So the question is, what does supply refer to in this story? Well, here's how I like to do multiple choice, and we're just going to talk about multiple choice with text evidence today. Tomorrow, we'll talk about text evidence when you are writing an answer, but today we're going to talk about text evidence with multiple choice. So the question is, what does supply refer to in this story? Answer choices: A, the amount of money they earned, the amount of lemonade people were willing to buy, that's B. C, the amount of lemonade available to sell. D, the amount of money they spent at the store buying their materials. Well, I know down here at the bottom, they were talking about how much lemonade. So I can eliminate answer choices A and D because they weren't talking about a supply of money. Then B says the amount of lemonade people were willing to buy, and C says the amount of lemonade available to sell. Well, towards the end of the story, they were talking about having lemonade left over, so they had lemonade to sell. So the best answer is C. And my text evidence would be right here at the bottom of the passage. After the storm clouds came through, the demand for lemonade was low, and we had too much supply. So I know that they were talking about supply as in the amount of lemonade they had to sell. But you see what I did there? I read the passage, I read the question and the answer choices. I eliminated 2 answers I thought were silly answers. I picked the best one and then made sure by finding text evidence in the text. All right, let's keep going. Now, it says, what does supply refer to in the story? The amount of lemonade available to sell. Okay, so the answer was C because the text stated that when the storm clouds came in, they had too much supply. I visualized them having lots of lemonade available for sale, but no one buying it. So that would be the explanation for my answer, which included my text evidence. Now, let's talk about another multiple choice question about the same passage, and let's try our strategy again of reading the passage, reading the question and the answer choices, eliminating 2 silly answers, and finding text evidence to prove the best answer. Based on what they learned, which statement best reflects what the kids will likely do differently the next time they set up a lemonade stand? Choice A, they will have at least 8 pitchers of lemonade ready to serve. B, they will set up their stand in a different location. C, they will ask friends to help them. D, they will check the weather forecast before deciding how much lemonade to make. Well, I could eliminate B because they didn't talk about needing to be in a different location. They just had too much lemonade left over. I could eliminate C. They didn't talk about not having enough help. They talked about having too much lemonade left over. So I've eliminated B and C. I'm left with A and D. Now, right here at the bottom, it does say, but when then some big gray clouds rolled in and it got really windy. Nobody stopped at our stand after that to buy any lemonade. So it talked about, and then down at the bottom, of course, Dad also said good business owners have to balance supply and demand, like how much you have to sell compared with how much people want it. So I feel like the best answer is D. They will check the weather forecast before deciding how much lemonade to make, so they can decide how much people will want to buy their lemonade. And I can prove that with my text evidence here, talking about their previous experience where when it rained and it was cool, they didn't need as much lemonade. There's my 4-step strategy to answering multiple choice questions. Read the passage, read the question and the answer choices, eliminate 2 silly answers, and find the best answer based on your text evidence that you have underlined and numbered in the text. And we're going to start this numbering of text evidence next week. So make sure you are underlining text evidence in all of our assignments where you can underline. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about your comprehension assessment today. It is going to be a multiple choice assessment, just like we had just gone over. It looks like this: comprehension assessment, September 3rd, 2020, your first and last name, who's your homeroom teacher, and then you're going to read the same passage that you read on Monday in your comprehension check. Now, I know that you can't underline in a Google quiz, Google form, but you can use your fingers to point to the text evidence on the screen. So here's my suggestion. Read, after you've read the passage, of course, you read the question and the answer choices. Eliminate 2 answers that you feel are silly and could not be it. Then go back and point, read, and I would scroll down with my finger and point to your text evidence on the screen that would prove the answer that you choose for the question. Do that for all 4. Now, you should also know your comprehension check, all of these assignments this week have been grades. And so this is actually the first quiz, though, you're going to take where there is not multiple attempts. So whatever you get on your first attempt is going to be your grade for this comprehension assessment, okay? If you have any questions, though, please don't hesitate to private comment me or email me or remind text me or call me here at school. I want to answer those questions for you. But I also want you to be getting better at finding text evidence. So I want you to give your best effort. It's not that you can't do this. It's that you can do this. You just have the power of yet. I can't do this yet. Well, practicing these strategies to find text evidence helps you become a better reader. And I want you happy and healthy and a good reader. Those are my goals. I hope that you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.